What is aesthetic? Who knows? Even the Urban Dictionary doesn't seem to have a specific answer. But it comes down to this. Aesthetic is something you'd find pleasing to look at. Hi, my name is Reem and I'm going to recommend some books based on specific aesthetics that I find pleasing. When I scoured the internet looking for what you'd call aesthetic, this page popped up. I clicked on it and poof, I knew I came to the right place. It contains most known aesthetics to the internet users, or according to the people on subreddit who were so kind to bless us with their wisdom, and for that we thank thee. And I'd leave the link in the description box for you to check out, but a heads up, some of the aesthetics are triggering, so be warned. The aesthetics chosen here are deeply subjective, so let's begin. First one is art academia / art ho. Just to be clear, academia aesthetic alone has so many sub-aesthetics. For me, I interpreted that as liking to wear jeans, jean shorts, visit art museums, wear Converse, and carry a backpack that I can't pronounce its brand. The color palette is probably every color of the rainbow because artistic, duh. For this aesthetic, I would recommend The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. The title of this book is literally the name of a painting by a Dutch painter named Carl Fabricius. This book tells the story of 13-year-old Theodore Decker, who loves to visit art museums and galleries with his mother, who's passionate about art. During one of their visits to an art museum, a bomb goes off and the mother dies. Theo is left alone in this world, longing for a mother that loved him deeply and holding on to a painting of a life-size chained goldfinch, which eventually throws him into the crime world. Next we have Cottagecore / Cabincore. When I think of cottages and cabins, I think of baked pies, dark wood, freshly washed clothes, and Cinderella happily scrubbing the floor because she wants to, not because her stepmother forced her. As for the color palette, it leans toward earthy tones with streaks of yellows and greens and with plants. For this aesthetic, I'd love to recommend Far From the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy, which is the story of a young woman, Bathsheba Everdeen, who inherits a farm and tries all her best to become an ideal landlady by being the example of a working woman. This book is also about her owning the hearts of three men who are striving to win her love and affection in every way. Now, I've talked about this book already on my channel. I've done like a 12 minutes video, so I will leave a link in the description box if you want to hear my discussion about it. Next aesthetic is called Riot Girl. According to the website, the term means the underground feminist punk movement that began in the early 90s. This aesthetic takes every stereotype you know about women and shatters it or just own it in a rebellious fashion. Take color pink for instance. It was seen as feminine and the representation of fragility, but for this aesthetic it means revolution and found power and strength. The color palette is who cares? If you found a color is cool, which means it's cool. My recommendation is Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. It is a book about a teen named Vivian Carter who is sick of the misogynistic treatment of girls in her school, from the girls' dress code to grabbing a girl's boob in the corridor. So she created a secret zine to rally girls to stand up for themselves. Now, I have to say that I found this book preachy at times, but nonetheless I really enjoyed reading it and it fits the description of the aesthetic perfectly. So if you haven't picked it up yet, I highly recommend you do. Or if you have a younger teen or something like that, you in your family want to give them a book, this one is for them. Last but not least aesthetic is vintage, but more specifically is Cottagecore vintage. And yes, before you ask, I made it up. To me, this aesthetic is enjoying reading and being read to, tea parties or just having tea by yourself, enjoying art and music, and watching the 2005 Pride and Prejudice and 1995 Persuasion over and over and over again. Again, for the color palette, it has no specific ones, but for me, it translates into blues, which is an aesthetic in itself. Of course, I'd like to see more people read Pride and Prejudice and admire the art of writing a good letter and having so much sexual tension for a guy that you hate to love, and kind of debate with yourself whether he is, he has money but he insulted your family, and you love him and he loves you, but he can't deny the fact that your family is inferior and kind of your family put you in an awkward position, but eventually you come through. Let's not forget the fact that he is an arrogant son of a bitch who destroyed your sister's happiness, and for that you hate him. But he realized his mistakes and own up to them because he's a gentleman. At the end, I would love to know what is your aesthetic, and do you have any other books you would like to recommend based on these aesthetics? Thank you so much for watching.